that what is your approach? The first approach or the first step is, sir, I will like to confirm the clinical diagnosis of jaundice by doing a liver function test. So that means the examiner is always the only answer that, or the only question that he can have, what will you infer from that? Sir, in a case of an obstructive jaundice, I will get conjugated more than unconjugated. Point number 2, I will get again SGOT and SGPT, which will show a increase now, whereas an alkaline phosphatase will also show an increase. Now, so this is a point that the examiner may or may not ask you, is that can you know how to distinguish between a benign cause of obstructive jaundice like a stone versus a cancer in an obstructive jaundice. Savistton data, remember that in cancers, alkaline phosphatase increase is much higher in contrast to the relative rise in SGOT and SGPT. Whereas in benign cause of jaundice, SGOT, SGPT and alphos, all of them will show a proportionate rise. That means if this is twofold, alphos is also twofold. Whereas in malignant jaundice, remember that I do not know any particular reason why. Okay, if you do find any reason, please let me know. That alphos will markedly increase in this one, and this probably suggests that this one is a malignancy. Now this is probably, don't linger on this to diagnose a cancer, because this is just a generalization. People found it out, that's it. We do not need to linger this on. I brought up this topic because examiners at a postgraduate level may be asking you, as it is in Savistton. So this is into LFT. Now, after you have discussed that this is an obstructive jaundice, by doing an liver function test, the next investigation all patients with jaundice, particularly obstructive jaundice, will always have is a ultrasound of the abdomen. Now, Dr. Rudrajit Sinha has told you all things. My points of contention are very few. All patients with obstructive jaundice, please remember, again Savistton data, the first things first, if it is obstructive jaundice, then IHBR is always dilated. So IHBR is always dilated. IHBR is always dilated. So the first point is IHBR is always dilated. IHBR, I've written it in gold so that you can remember, will be dilated. Now, if you mention that there is an conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, but IHBR is normal, please remember that condition is not to be treated by you. This condition is called as a cholestasis and is treated by medicine people. A condition in which obstructive jaundice happens and IHBR is dilated, that condition is your problem and is called as a surgical obstructive jaundice. Please remember this Viva question. What is a SOJ? What is a SOJ? A condition in which there is a dilatation of the IHBR and you have an obstructive jaundice. Both of them go parallel, hand in hand. Now, if it is this, that means the jaundice will need a intervention. Now, intervention can be many types. An intervention to relieve the jaundice. So the bottom line thing is something that you need to understand. This is not done by you. This is done by a medicine chap who gives them some medicines, etc. So this is not called as a medical obstructive jaundice. So don't laugh at this one. Oh my God, देखो सर ने क्या लिखा है. No, it is not called medical obstructive jaundice. So this is called as surgical obstructive jaundice because you need to do something to relieve that. So there is a mechanical cause. And the mechanical cause can be anywhere. We are not mentioning common causes of jaundice, that is for undergraduates, but for you, this is the first thing that I would like to see on an ultrasound. So the first thing that I would like to see on an ultrasound is always the dilatation of the IHBR. The second thing that I will like to see is that in my algorithm, I see whether the gallbladder is distended or the gallbladder is collapsed. So please see my algorithm. You can say Ramanujan's algorithm also. So this is a gallbladder is collapsed. Okay. Now, if the gallbladder is collapsed, then what will you see? Then, sir, I will like to see if the gallbladder is collapsed and two findings. Finding number one, the wall thickness is increased. Finding number two is I can get to see, finding number two is I can get to see a stone. And how do you identify a stone? Sir, by something that undergraduates will say acoustic shadowing. So you have been told about Merijji syndrome, so acoustic shadowing. Rarely in that scenario, you may get a interesting lesion where you can get plus minus a stone, another lesion which is seen at the neck of the gallbladder called as a cancer. Remember that a cancer at the gallbladder does not have an acoustic shadow. Looks very childish, is a very simple word. Remember that if the gallbladder is collapsed, either look at the wall thickness which is increased or look at the stone which will have a shadow or look at a cancer. So this is the first thing if I look at the gallbladder, and along with the gallbladder collapsed, I can have another finding where the gallbladder is collapsed, but there is an upstream dilatation with a distal CBD being collapsed. So now see this picture. In this one, you can see a distal CBD being collapsed. So in this finding, the distal CBD is collapsed. Now if the gallbladder is done, remember that the distal CBD is collapsed. Okay, or I will make you the last scenario. Let us finish with this one. If that is a condition, remember that that probably is something that we would call as a hilar cholangio. So this is something called as a hilar cholangio. So this is a hilar cholangio. Whereas you can see in the picture, you can have a upstream dilatation of the IHBR. So this completes the story. Lastly, as examiner will ask you, what if that the gallbladder is shrunken, gallbladder is thick-walled, gallbladder contains stones, what is the other thing that you will look for? Sir, simplistic things. I will look for then the dilated CBD and whether the dilatation is in the lower CBD. And now remember that, so we have had a discussion yesterday also, in supraduodenal part, that means above the duodenum, the detection rate of a CVD calculi, again a table in Savistan is very nice. CVD calculi on an ultrasound are detected with more than about 85% specificity. That means accuracy, bottom line. Whereas the minute you talk about infraduodenal CVD, that same stone has a much lower rate, only 60% is a very good rate, maybe 50%, because there is a duodenal gas which does not allow you to pick it up. So I will again repeat the points. If the gallbladder is collapsed minded, either it is a CVD stone, that means the distal end of the CVD will be dilated, okay, or if the distal end of the CVD is collapsed, then look into a hilar cholangio or a CAGB. Now we are discussing malignancies, we will not discuss about stones. Now consider the other side. If the gallbladder is distended, remember that there could be one or two stones, doesn't matter. The wall thickness is either normal or is marginally increased, again doesn't matter, but the gallbladder is distended. And definitely if the gallbladder is distended, IHBRs are dilated, that automatically means that there is a pathology that your ultrasound may pick up in the distal CVD. So please remember this. If the gallbladder is distended, IHBRs are dilated, and remember there is a pathology in the distal CVD. Now, after this, when you have noted this, now focus on the ultrasound and see whether your ultrasound can detect the distal CVD or not. What is important is the distal CVD, head of the pancreas, okay, including a periampullary region. Remember, with a transabdominal ultrasound has a modest detection rate of about 80% only. It is a good in a good ultrasound hand. Majority of them will have much lower. So what they are going to comment is that the head of the pancreas or the periampullary region contains a SOL versus another pathology like a stone. Remember that stones are better detected. So SOL. After you have seen this, then concentrate on your ultrasound in seeing the liver for any metastasis, which makes your diagnosis more in favor of a cancer. You can now look for ascites, which is always best seen with an ultrasound. Okay, you can detect as minimal as again 150 ml of free fluid in the abdomen. So please remember them. So what did you see on that ultrasound? Sir, IHBR dilated, gallbladder distended or collapsed. Ultrasound then again tells you about a distal CVD, liver is metastatic or ascites. So this completes. Now at this point, with a clinical background and then with an LFT and then with an ultrasound, remember, now talk over with this, now talk over that what is my diagnosis? Is the diagnosis more in favor of a cancer, or is the diagnosis more in favor of a benign disease? You select your investigations. Now, in this modern era, Dr. Sanjay Devakshi yesterday showed you an algorithm. If it is a cancer, then always do a MDCT or a multi-detector CT. The protocol will differ, but your exam, remember, talk about an MDCT of the whole abdomen. Talk about an MDCT or a multi-detector CT of the whole abdomen. Don't speak up any protocol at this moment. Examiner will ask, what do you mean by this term MDCT? Sir, it means that the conventional CT scan, so this is the patient, a conventional CT cuts the body at a centimeter gap. A MDCT, the same thing, what it does is that it cuts it, the region that you need, at a 5 millimeter to 1 millimeter gap. So this is very close, particularly the region that you need. The rest can be around 6 to 7 millimeters. So that means there are more fine cuts. So it is an MDCT of the abdomen. And always remember, it is with an oral contrast plus an IV contrast. So this is what an examiner is expecting from you: oral and an IV contrast MDCT of the abdomen. If it is benign, I will like to do an MRCP, then required if be an endoscopic ultrasound, particularly if you are strongly thinking in terms of a stone disease. Okay, so remember that. If you are thinking again that this could be a malignant stricture, which is very unlikely given all the findings, then again you have to go in for an MDCT. So this is all about your diagnostic part. Now, Dr. Rudrajit Sinha has told you about pancreatic adenocancers. So pancreatic tumors, now a very special subset, examiners will ask, CT tells you that there is a SOL at the head of the pancreas. Okay, CT tells you that there is an SOL at the head of the pancreas. What are the special points that you are wishing to see into this? The minute you say about special points, remember, there should be two words to mention. Number one, the minute you say about an SOL HOD pancreas, HOP, the CT should be in a protocol called as a pancreatic protocol, which means that you tell your radiologist the first phase of the protocol is without contrast, you take a picture. Without contrast means both oral and IV. What it does is that if there is any focus of any calcification, remember that if there is any focus of calcification in the lesion, now that means that there are calcification focus. Remember, calcific foci are seen in remember, are better seen in chronic pancreatitis. What is also important is that chronic pancreatitis coexists with head cancers also. So it is good to take this picture. Number two, the edema fluid is always better seen when you do a non-contrast CT. So this is the edema phase. Whereas number B, with contrast, with an IV injection, when you start the story, the first one is something called as an early arterial phase. An early arterial phase, remember, tells you about, now we will not go into those technical details, we will go in for if it is a adenocarcinoma. Remember that adenocarcinomas will usually have a poor uptake because they are not very vascular lesions. Whereas if it is a pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor, they usually have a good uptake because they are usually very vascular lesions. So this is the first part. Then you wait for late arterial. That means if this is done within 10 to 20 seconds, this is done at 40 to 60 seconds. And remember, it now tells your enhancement of the tumor in relation with the rest of the, it now tells your enhancement of the tumor in the relation. So that means, just give me a second, please. Right. So if I take up this color, so if this is a normal pancreas which is taking up the dye, because pancreas is a very well supplied organ, then now by this point appreciate that the tumor is taking up much less amount of dye. So this contrast that you get to see is usually, that means this is a hypodense lesion. But by this time, what you have also understood in this hypodense lesion is you have understood the borders of the tumor. So you have understood the borders of the tumor by this time, and by this time when you have understood the borders of the tumor, you will also get to see very beautifully, you will also get to see very beautifully the relation of the tumor with the superior mesenteric vein, the relation of the tumor with the superior mesenteric artery. So what are the things that you get to see? Sir, I get to see, now I get to see the SMV, I get to see the SMA. Now, so that means in the late arterial you do that. And then the final part is in the venous phase, you now see the rest of parenchyma. Particularly remember, you see the splenic vein for any thrombus. You see the portal vein for again the same thing, and by this time you should also get to see the liver for any metastatic lesion that you should have. So remember that I told you exactly what is a pancreas. So kindly mute your audios. So without contrast, early arterial, late arterial and venous is again usually said to be beyond 60 seconds, you will get this. But again, books differ with pancreatic protocols. So pancreatic protocol more or less is this, to distinguish between a pancreatic protocol. Now, what I will end by today is that if this is a cancer of the head of the pancreas, remember that, or technically enough, with any periampullary tumor, then after you have done a CT scan or an MDCT, you will land up now with, I did not get your question or comment, sir. After you have done the MDCT, you now land up with, hello? Rudrajit, am I audible now? Rudrajit, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, right. So now an MDCT tells you that there are 3 types of a pancreatic tumor. One is something called as a resectable. The second one is a borderline resectable, and the third one is an unresectable. If it is resectable, then plan for a diaglap followed by a, if it is all fine, a pancreaticoduodenectomy. Plan for this one, okay, provided that it is resectable. Nowadays, with the good quality CT scans and with good quality surgeons, it will be very unlikely that a resectable and unresectables are seen during the operation theatre. That was 20 years back when our CT scans were not good quality. So nowadays, but still, you should tell the patient that there is a 10% chance that your tumor may be considered unresectable. So that is the resectable thing. If it is a borderline resectable, then go for an endoscopic ultrasound, not a CT guided biopsy, and take a biopsy. CT is avoided because you do not want to spill the tumor in the peritoneal and the retroperitoneum. Take an endoscopic biopsy. Biopsy comes positive, then give the patient a PTBD or a ERCP biliary drainage, because remember, you cannot give chemo, and then give the patient chemotherapy with usually will be a gemcitabine based regime along with addition of a platinum. Okay, so it will be again a gemcitabine. Drugs like carboplatin, etc., may or may not be added, but again this will be added in the adjuvant setting. So adjuvant CT, not RT, CT usually. So gemcitabine and carboplatin. Now, so if now after this you again do an NDCT.
Sir, sir,
Yes.
Komal speaking, sir.
Yes, Komal.
Sir, this is the primary chemotherapy or neoadjuvant? This one, borderline. Neoadjuvant. Okay, sir. Thank you.
If it is resectable after the neoadjuvant, then go for a resection. 50% of them are never resectable, so please go in for the unresectable group. In unresectable, remember your target always is palliation. That's it. So we'll not talk about the steps of a Whipple's today, because that is, we have had a long class. We'll not talk about steps of Whipple's, but what I should discuss is what is the
Sir, any role of
palliation.
laparoscopy staging, sir?
Yes, I told you, na. Plan for a DAG lab in a case of a resectable one. In an adenocarcinoma pancreas,
Sir,
please remember.
Borderline resectable, sir.
No, borderline resectable, you see, you again do the same thing. Your MDCT says it is resectable. Definitely before resection, what is the procedure that you would like to do? So DAG lab. Then followed by, if your DAG lab is for no metastasis, go for a pancreatic duodenectomy or a Whipple's. Okay, now final words, palliation.
Sir,
Now,
neoadjuvant, how many cycles, sir?
Neoadjuvant, that depends. These are not very standard things. Usually 2 to 4 cycles, depending upon how well the patient tolerates, how good the tumor regrows. Remember, these are very less vascular tumors, so their response is very erratic. Now, when you talk on, yeah. Now, the last point is how to do the palliation. Remember that unresectable tumors and metastatic tumors, the average span of life for these patients is very dismal, is about 1 to 5 years only. So this is a very bad kind of a tumor. So the palliation targets are jaundice, which are relieved by either endoscopic, which is nowadays the preferred. Remember, you use something called as a self-expanding metal stent, or if you cannot do, then a PTBD, percutaneous biliary drainage, which is usually reserved for hilar cholangios. Lastly, you can go for a surgical bypass, which studies have shown that have the same efficacy as that of endoscopic drainage, but surgical bypass adds to the morbidity, and definitely without any hope for a cure. Well, some people, surgical bypasses, the best options could be a choledocho jejunostomy, which is always a side to side, Roux and Y. We have had a discussion yesterday, and it can also be, this thing still holds good, is a cholecysto. If the gallbladder is not diseased, cholecysto jejunostomy, which is a very simple operation to do, and examiners, remember, are surgeons, they are going to ask you this one. So it is usually the fundus that is opened. But remember, the precondition is that the cystic duct has to be wide and patent, and the gallbladder has to be without a stone. If the gallbladder is diseased, thick-walled, stone, cystic duct is narrowed, don't think of a cholecysto, think of choledocho. So this is palliation of jaundice. Number 2 is palliation of pain, which is, please do not say the celiac plexus blocks first.